Hey everyone, my name is Jen and I wear a hair topper, and I wanted to make this video to kind of share my experience with it, kind of how I came about hair toppers, how I decided it was right for me, and hopefully it can help, anyone else seeking any advice. So just a little bit about my hair story. I've had alopecia since I believe, I saw a picture of when I was little recently, and by 13, 14, I definitely already had thinning. So I think this was due to me getting tight braids when I was on vacation when I was little. It'd be really tight when they were, braiding it into my hair, and then I'd have it in my hair for a few months, a couple months, like 2 months, and it would be tight for a few weeks, and then taking, the braids out, it was also painful. And I probably did that about 3 times. And I remember as a kid, I hated it, but I did it because my mom wanted me to do it. And I think that tension really did, and that pulling really did affect my scalp. So it's been something I've been living with for a while. And, discovering the hair topper has really affected my life positively so much, because it's something that I would think about literally every day, several times a day. It was not overtaking my life, but because I did not allow it to, but I think that took a long time of me having to be okay with it and working on myself. It would be embarrassing when I would, sit in stadium seating, walk upstairs, and there'd be people, walking down, um, going to the movies or concerts, like I was saying, in stadium seating, because it'd be people above me. When I'd bend down to pick something up, meeting tall people, if I was sweating. I mean, we all know when your hair is wet, the scalp is more visible, or when your hair is greasy, your scalp is more visible. So on hot summer days, I would be like, should I wear a hat? Is it going to be okay if I don't wear one? I'm starting to sweat. Oh no, it's becoming more visible. And even like the last few years, I've been experiencing my scalp burning, like turning red, and then maybe flaking, because your scalp is so exposed that the sun gets to it. So it did really bother me, but when it's something you have to live with, you kind of have to cope with it. But this is definitely giving me a lot more confidence in myself. And sorry, I'm looking at my notes. I started exploring the world of helper hair, and the first thing that I came across was sew-ins. And for those of you who don't know what a sew-in is, go ahead and Google it. But it's basically they braid your hair to your scalp, and then put a netting on, a thin netting, and then they sew, bundles of hair, wefts, to that. And I was like, well, that might be a good solution for me, because it's attaching hair to you, and it feels like it's your real hair because you don't take it off or anything. But there just seem to be too many questions, like, is it going to damage the scalp and the hair I have already? And no stylist was able to tell me no. They would just say this is the best, this is the healthiest option out of all the other ones. And to me, that didn't sound like a very good thing to pursue, because if it did damage my scalp further, I would have been very unhappy. So I decided against that. But before that, of course, I tried doing things like Rogaine, biotin pills, different shampoos and such, topical, applications, and nothing really seemed to really help. I know you have to be consistent with it, and some people swear by Rogaine, but maybe it's just not for everyone. Everyone's chemistry is different, and everyone's chemistry or everyone's body reacts differently. So it's not like I just, gave up and said, okay, let me get a topper. But anyways, I started exploring toppers, and I came across someone in Chicago, a stylist, who you can go into his salon, and he'll kind of explain the whole topper world and let you try one on. And trying one on for me was really important. So I urge you, if you have the opportunity to try one on before you actually buy it, if it's your first time, I think that is a great way to go. You could just Google, alopecia, salons, or wig, wig shops or wig salons or, you know, helper hair, stuff like that. And hopefully, especially if you're in a big city, you have a place where there's someone that specializes in it and you can go in, make a consultation, and they'll walk you through it. I want you to be careful because I went to a couple consultations, and the thing is, online and when you call, they don't tell you exactly what they do. They just say something like, oh, I have a few options. We have many options. It depends on what you're looking for, on the state of your hair, how much you have, how far you're willing to go. And it's like, well, I don't want to waste my time coming in for a consultation, and I don't want to waste your time. Can you tell me about your options, you know? And they just don't want to tell you. And even my stylist I ended up going with, he did say they do that because they want to get you in the door, to try to convince you to do what they're offering. And a lot of times it's they want to shave, you know, this part of your head or all of it, so they can apply this like cap with glue, and it's too intense for, I still have hair left, so it's like, it's not something that's good for me, maybe good for someone else. But you know, shaving and then gluing this, you know, adhesive, and I don't know what else, it was just too, not what I was looking for. So the person I found was awesome. It was really good for me to go in and have someone explain everything to me. I mean, YouTube has been an amazing resource, and honestly, most of the things that my stylist told me, I saw on YouTube also. But for my first time, I just wanted to feel a lot more involved and sure in my decision. So the next time I get a topper, because you know these don't last forever, I will definitely buy one online instead of going in to the salon with this guy, because it was pricey, because you know you had the convenience of someone walking you through it. And with he offered a haircut to you, the topper, you know, showing you how to wash it, how to take care of it, you know, how to put it on, and the topper, all of that as a package. It was $800 plus tax, so it's almost $1,000. And a topper, you can get a good one online that I've been seeing for like 400, 500, 600, or even 300. So next time I will definitely go with buying online. And some of the places that I found online are Uniwigs, Thin Hair Thick, Jon Renau, and Highline Wigs. And you know, some are pricier than others. Jon Renau, I think, is pricier. Uniwigs has a good range of pricing, but the difference between these are the biggest difference is between Thin Hair Thick is the only one that has more of a like a headband you put on instead of clips, because there is that whole, oh, is it going to damage my hair? And the idea of putting a headband instead of putting clips on, it's that there's no clips creating tension or pulling at your hair. So I have not tried that one. I wanted to, but you can't really try it without buying it. Their whole thing is you can order it, you know, they'll make it, they'll send it to you, but once you open that box, you can no longer return it. So you can return it as long as you don't open the box, but it's kind of like, well, I want to try it on to really know if I want it. So that was too much of a risk for me, because I think they were about $800 for the length I wanted and everything, and that was just I was just scared that it wouldn't fit right, or I wouldn't like it, and then I'd have to, you know, there goes $800. But the other ones I really want to try out sometime, you know. Like I said, this was a topper that my stylist purchased, but you know, in the future online, Uniwigs, you know, Jon Renau, Highline Wigs, Thin Hair Thick, I really want to try some of those, and there's some great reviews on YouTube and on their websites, and they're beautiful looking. So it's just a little scary buying online, but I believe you can return the other ones that I haven't mentioned. You know, I'm sure there's like restocking fees and such, but they look gorgeous, and it's definitely something I want to try someday. Like I said, this is a clip-in topper. It doesn't really go anywhere. As in terms of like how it feels, in the beginning, I was worried that it was going to feel like heavy or tight or tension. Some people think like, oh, is it going to feel like a hat? And you know, it honestly, like the first week, I did kind of feel it. More in terms of like when I would take it off, it'd be like a relieved feeling, like, oh my God, thank God it's off, and like I'd kind of massage myself. But after about that week, it was just, I think, getting used to it. And now I don't have that sense of relief when I take it off. I really don't feel it when I have it on. The only time, more towards the beginning, a couple times, like it got like maybe itchy by one of the clips or something. And, you know, if I could sneak my pinky in there and like scratch, I'd do that. Or if not, if it's too deep in, I just kind of like tap it around a little bit, and that would help. But other than that, it did not bother me. It does not feel hot. Of course, it depends on like the type of cap you get and like the density, but this one in particular is very light feeling. There's people who have sensitive scalps and such, like even like headbands bother them. So I'm sure with them it might be a little more stressful on their head. But that's why it's also great if you get the opportunity to try it first before, you know, committing to something, because they are pretty pricey. I definitely do recommend a human hair one, just because you can treat it just as yours, you know, with like heat, or and then it dries as yours tends to dry, because hair does not typically dry straight. And you know, it's just a little more realistic looking and feeling. And then there's a whole like lace front, no lace front. I did not do lace front. I'm hoping to maybe try it one day, but I'm not very attracted to the whole like having sometimes to use like concealers and such to blend it with like your head and your scalp. And I'm kind of I'm not a fan of like the whole like putting an adhesive and like gluing or taping to your head. I definitely don't want to do that, and I'd be afraid that it would lift or something. You know, I'm sure they're all different, which, you know, I definitely had to explore more, but this has definitely been something that like blends well and like sits really well too. You know, just the other day I put my topper between like a t-shirt and laid some books on top of it, because it was kind of like giving an extra bulge, or you know, it just like poofed up more, and I felt like it was definitely like the topper. And that definitely, sitting it for about 4 hours under the books definitely like flattened it out a little bit, not to the point where it damaged or, you know, did something to the topper inside, but it definitely helped make it sit flatter and against my head. In terms of travel, so I have traveled a couple times with the topper on, and no one has ever said anything. You know, I think every airport is different, but I live in Chicago, so I go through O'Hare. And at O'Hare, there's like that body scanner where you stand like this and then like it goes around you. And each time, I always, even before the topper, I would turn around to look at the little screen with the little body that says like, hey, that highlights to the security guard like where to look or where to, you know, investigate. And since I've been wearing the topper, it highlights like my head a little bit, puts like a little box, and I'm like, oh shoot, is that because it's detecting metal? And the first time, the girl just told me, just go ahead and go. The second time, which was this last time, it highlighted it, you know, my head again, and she just said, I'm gonna have to touch the back of your head. With her gloves, she just went like this. And you know, you don't feel anything significant when you touch it. It feels normal, you know, like there's nothing there. So nothing was really ever noticed. If anyone were to ever say, you know, we need to investigate more, you know, I would feel like, okay, no problem. Like, if you need to like lift or look, I would probably ask, you know, if it's something to the point where you're gonna have to remove and look. I would ask like, hey, can we go to like a private room? I'd be happy to comply. But it's nothing to be nervous about really at all. And how realistic does it look? Well, I definitely think that it looks realistic. You know, like if you like lift, you don't really see anything. It blends really well. But of course, you know, you're always going to worry about how does it look? Does it look realistic? Can someone notice? Does someone see? I only had one time someone said something to me, and honestly, most people won't say anything to you because they have the common courtesy to not point you out, you know, in public. But there was one time, and it was in New Orleans, and I was at a bar, and this guy, like, I didn't even see him. He walked behind me, but I guess he saw me from this side. And I feel like if anything, this side is more of a giveaway than this side. But he walked by and he whispered in my ear as he walked by. He was like nice hair. And I was kind of in shock. It's like, who would go out of their way to say something to you, you know, especially at a place like a bar where you're having a great time. And I turned to look to see who it was, and he was just walking by, you know, with his friends, because everyone's more confident with friends, and he has his hands and he's like walking, and he's just giving me a look of you know, like it's funny. And I'm looking at him like in disbelief, like why would you do that? And you know, of course, it kind of I feel like I've been living with this for so long that like it didn't hurt me at all, but it was more of a feeling of like, wow, you really have to take the time to do that right now to a person you don't know. You know, if I was someone that was really sensitive about it, I would have gotten upset. You could potentially make someone get really down about it. You know, but like I said, I've been living with this for so long, you become a little, you know, you have thick skin because of it, thicker skin at least. And I felt like it left me with a feeling of more of like, wow, people these days, you know. But of course, you know, I got home and at the same time it's like, okay, well, I do look in the mirror, and then I kind of reevaluate and say, okay, what gave it away, what made it obvious. This boy was like a young looking guy, but he was Black or African American, and I feel like in that culture it's more of a commonality, the whole wig, weave, you know, extension hair. It's more prominent in their culture, so maybe that's why he was able to pinpoint it, because maybe like he has family or friends and he's used to, you know, the detecting of it. And I felt like maybe that was why he was able to tell, like if he saw the way something felt, or you know, a difference or something. But regardless, you know, if that happens, it's like in public especially, you just kind of have to have the mindset of like, well, like what are you gonna do about it? This is obviously, you know, who I am. This is like something I've chosen to do, and it makes me feel good. If one person, you know, out of, you know, hundreds, you know, sees it, well, you know, it might happen. You know, it makes me definitely way more confident, and I feel like it says something more about the other person than you know, to go out of their way to make you feel down essentially. So you know, as you grow with your topper, as you wear it more, you'll figure out ways like, oh, maybe I should wear it this way, or I can blend it that way, or wearing it like this makes it more blend better. You know, you learn how to, you know, incorporate it with your hair and everything. I feel like I've talked for so long, and I'm just trying to give, you know, tricks and tips and just like my experience a little bit. I think like if you should definitely try to, you know, try it before you buy it if you can. I feel like that's like the hugest thing that made it a seller for me. And I think you just need to definitely rock it in whatever situation you are, you know. I feel like it gave me more confidence to not just wear my hair like this every day. I'm going to be doing a video on like different hairstyles, because every single day of my life I did it the same way, you know, down to the side, pinned to the side, because that's what made, I feel like, hid the scalp the most. And now I'm able to do it in a braid on the side. I put it half up. Like, of course, we have limitations with having a topper, but I definitely think it opens up like so many more doors for just, you know, being able to express yourself through more than just one hairstyle. So I'll be posting that sometime, hopefully soon. But thank you so much for listening, and I definitely hope this has helped, because I know this has definitely changed my life, and it definitely could help change yours. Hey, just one more little thing. I wanted to kind of, you know, go into depth a little more about does it damage your scalp and, you know, cause more hair loss, because I think that's a huge thing on people's minds, as well as it was a huge question of mine. And there's no definite answer, but I mean, it's kind of like, you know, a given that once you start adding more tension, which, you know, you're adding the weight of the hair that you're putting on your head, you're adding the weight or to the pulling of like clips more than you would if you wouldn't wear anything else. So I definitely took a video when I first started wearing it of my scalp, like by itself. So maybe in 6 months I can take another video and see like, oh, compare to see if, oh, you know, there is a significant hair loss or there has been a change, to kind of, you know, keep tabs on, you know, the density of the hair on my head. You know, I'm trying to definitely prevent further falling out, or, you know, I don't want to make it more of a rapid fallout because I'm wearing a topper. Not to say that I would stop wearing a topper, because this has definitely changed my life, you know, in so many positive ways. But, you know, just paying attention to kind of know, you know, where my scalp's at. And in another video, I'll go into why I wear multiple clips, like a lot of clips on the topper, just to make sure that I'm rotating daily. I'll actually take my topper off and show you kind of where the clips sit, you know, which ones I use every day, you know, how I rotate it and such. And another thing that I wanted to add, that my, the salon, the person that, you know, set me up with the topper, he said, you know, the shorter your hair, the better, because, you know, your scalp is definitely, you know, struggling with keeping hair. So if you wear your hair a little shorter, there's less weight on your follicles, which definitely makes sense, you know, but I've been such a long hair person for so long. So it was hard for me to just, you know, chop it like really short. So I let him give me a little trim, and he definitely, you know, urged me to get like the shorter topper, you know, which the shorter topper, or this topper, like the layers kind of start like more up, you know, throughout like here, and my real hair is like lower. Oops, like I'll show you, like my hair ends here. My hair ends down here, and the topper kind of starts ending over here and a little lower. And he said it's best to have layers because, you know, you're kind of taking off weight off the top when, you know, you're taking off the stress on the top when you're adding, when your hair is, when you have less hair, when it's a little shorter. So it's, you know, adding less weight than if you had it long and even. And although this might be true, I really wish, and I recommend this for you, to get your hair topper as long as your actual hair, because sometimes it just looks a little off. I would say, like, the ends start, you know, getting shorter. They start kind of like right here, they'll sometimes like move out. And I feel like if it was all one length or as long as my hair, it would like maybe blend a little better. It still blends pretty great, but I feel like, oh, you should sometimes just go with your gut. You should go a little longer, because you can always go shorter. If you go shorter, you obviously can't make it longer, but your hair will continue to grow. So it'll, you know, there'll be this progression of the growth of your hair, but obviously your topper stays the same. So I would definitely recommend, you know, go with your gut. You can always go shorter. You obviously can never go longer. So again, hope that helps. See you next time.